Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes? Matt here from YoVideogames, and I'm back again with another review. It's been a little bit since we've had one, but it's been a pretty crazy month. Well, mostly announcements and stuff, but in the midst of everything getting announced and getting shown and hands-on and this and that, Nintendo almost quietly launched their Switch 2 console in the midst of all the chaos, and yeah, we basically got a whole brand new Mario Kart game dumped onto us. They did have hands-on and stuff back in April, but it was just sort of, all right, here it is, have fun. And interestingly enough, they didn't actually send anything out to any press or any influencers or anything. So all the reviews for Mario Kart had to start on the day of release. So interesting enough, Nintendo truly did not care one bit about press or influencers playing the Switch 2 before release. And to be real, they don't really have to. The thing is the best-selling console launch ever now, and they clearly made their money, and everyone's happy. People are just bought it, better or worse. And how do I feel about that? I'm very whatever. It's Mario Kart. I feel like do you need to have some super early dissection of the game to decide whether or not you want it? But if you're on the fence and you're still on the fence after launch, maybe I can offer a little bit of insight from someone who paid for this with my own money, played it, have played it multiple times, tested the online, has given it us good solid runaround, and now I can kind of definitively say whether or not do I think this game is worth it. And there's a bit of a huge asterisk with this game because I have to take into consideration that this is an $80 game. It's probably the most expensive video game release Nintendo's ever had. That's not a collector's edition, not a limited edition, not a big bundle box. This is just the base copy of the game. That there's no frills, there's no extra. Just here's the game. Even digitally, it's $80. However, I paid $50 for it because I got it with the console bundle, which was only going to be available until the fall or when supply runs out, as according to Nintendo themselves in their own trailers. So this actually greatly varies how I kind of feel about the game in general, because at $50, I feel the value is a little more worth it rather than at $80. But since this is a limited time offer for this bundle for $500 for the console, $450 normally for it without, I'm going to judge this as an $80 game, so take that as you will. And one reason I am going to judge it as an $80 game is because Nintendo never lowers the prices of these things. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is an 11-year-old game. Now granted, Deluxe is an 8-year-old version of an 11-year-old game with more features and stuff added, and there's also a $25 booster course addition to it as well. But the base game of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the 8-year-old version on the Switch 1, is still $60. They have not lowered the price of that game in 8 years, and it doesn't look like they ever will. So I'm going on the assumption here, 8 years from this recording, Nintendo will still be charging $80 US, even more in other countries, for Mario Kart World. So yeah, I feel the price factoring into the review, which I usually don't like to do because games go on sale, they drop price. Not in Nintendo's world. Nuh-uh, not since Iwata died. No, games stay at their launch price forever, apparently. So, all right, if that's the way it is, then I feel it's justifiably reasonable to rate the game on its price, because apparently the price is never going to change. So let's just dive into the actual game now that I've talked about all these other things around the game. Mario Kart World is an open world take on the Mario Kart formula, rather than have just a series of Grand Prix and ran in very segmented, separated courses. This is now one big, giant, interconnected overworld in which you can drive between racetracks, and in fact, that's part of the core gameplay idea, is that even when you do Grand Prix, you start at one location, do 3 laps, and then the next race in the Grand Prix is you driving from the first track to the second track, and you only do 1 lap, maybe 2 if it's a really short track, at the next location. So that's how Grand Prix works, is you do a race, drive to the next one, do 1 lap, do a race, then race to the next location, do a single lap, race to the last location, do a single lap, you're done. That's how the Grand Prix works. So the Grand Prix has been radically altered in this game. And then if you wanted to do this locally, like, well, what if I want to just play, let's say, locally, like the traditional, you can do versus races and you can set that up. However, that's actually a little different from how online actually works, where online, they kind of like really focus heavily into, okay, select which track you want to go to of the three, or you can randomize it, or you can manually pick it. But I'll get to that, because the reason is again, this overworld, this vast interconnected map, this Burnout Paradise, Forza Horizon style idea, if you will. And how this works for single player is that when you're at the menu, if you just press like the start button to free roam, it just sort of loads you in, because on the title screen is just whatever your last pick character was driving randomly on the world map. And when you just press start, the camera just takes away the options, zooms in, and you are free to roam around the big, giant, interconnected map. And what do you do in this overworld? Not much. You find blue P-switches, which give you these little course challenges, these little tiny little missions, like drive through these rings, or collect these blue coins. And your reward for all of the P-switches is stickers. Yes, stickers. There are some other hidden challenges around, like hitting some charging chucks or catching a nabbit, but they reward you with stickers. And yeah, and the weird, and part of the reason I feel like this doesn't really work beyond just, okay, there doesn't seem to be a very tangible reward for driving around this overworld, is that there doesn't seem to be any structure to it. There's no home base, there's no garage, there's no mission, story, overarching thing like, oh, do this thing so we can challenge Bowser to a race or go challenge this character to a race. No, it's just kind of drive around the overworld, get some stickers. Sometimes you drive over like question mark blocks and you get stickers doing that. And that's super weird. And then there are other things to unlock in the game other than these tiny sticker decals, of which you can only put one on your cart. And so you unlock characters. Some characters get unlocked doing all the Grand Prix, which isn't a ton. And then there's costumes for some character. Well, most characters have costumes except the little tiny villain characters. But a lot of the main Mario characters, they have different costumes. How do you get the costumes? You just drive in when you're driving around the overworld, or even in a Grand Prix, or even online. If you drive by a Yoshi truck or a Yoshi takeout stand, they have these little golden food bags. You get the food bag, it gives you a food item, you eat it, which gives you a boost like a mushroom, and you unlock a costume that way. It's kind of random. There is a structure to what food does what, but that's how you unlock other costumes in the game. You don't win them, you don't earn them, you just pick up a food bag at any point during the game, and if it's if the food item is tied to a different costume, you get that different costume. You turn into that automatically. So like burgers will give you one thing, and desserts will give you another, and then like Asian food will give you something else. But here's the thing: not all characters are created equal. Like Peach and Daisy will have 6 costumes. Pauline has 2. Donkey Kong has 2. Bowser Jr., the little cumrag character that he is, has more costumes than Donkey Kong, the star of the next Nintendo's next game. It's just bizarre way. Apparently, the babies have more costumes than Pauline and DK. Just a really bizarre way of well, some characters get a bunch of costumes and some characters don't, and then some characters get no costumes. So it's again you don't unlock them, you don't earn them, you just drive around and collect food bags in the open world, or just get them as you're driving through the Grand Prix. It's a little bizarre. And as you collect coins in the game, you do unlock other carts to race in, but there is no more kart customization. You don't customize the body, wheels, glider, none of that. No, karts are just kind of like set and standard. You unlock the kart, and that's the kart you get. It has its own preset stats. So yeah, you don't have the kart customization from 8 in this game either, so that's kind of taken away. Other thing taken away is all the Koopa kids are gone. And there's a lot of racers in this game, but some of them but they're all kind of replaced with like, hey, here's a Goomba, here's a Hammer Brothers, here's Nabbit, here's a Fishbone. Here's a cow. The cow's kind of like his own little meme world, and cow's kind of fun just because it's like so unexpected. It's just a background character, but yeah, you'll get weird things. Like here's this little minor bee thing from Mario Galaxy. That's a racer now. Here's the snowman from Mario 64. Okay, I guess it's nice that it's nice having a whole lot of different weird little characters, but again, they don't even get costumes. And how do you unlock the little minor characters? You have to randomly get hit by Kamek during a race. So when you're playing the game, single player, multiplayer, whatever, you have to hope someone gets like a Kamek item, who then turns everyone ahead of them in the race into a different character. If you're in first and you get a Kamek, well, you don't get to get turned into another character. So you got to get hit by someone else, and then you have to hope he turns you into a character you don't have, and you race them for a few seconds, and you turn back into your racer. Now you've unlocked that tiny little character racer, like the Goomba or the Crab or the Cataquack or whatever. Yeah, that's how you unlock. So again, it's just this really bizarre way in which you unlock these character races. So how does the actual racing and stuff go? They've added some stuff. They've added wall jumping. They've added rail grinding, and these feel good. These are nice additions to the overall game. They add some sauce. The other big addition is there's 24 racers online. But I'm going to push back here right now and just say flat out, I've done racing with 24 racers. I've done racing with 10, 12, 8, 4. It is madness with 24. In fact, the game actually kind of suffers when you get 24 racers, because it's just so many people are getting so many crazy items, and the items you receive are a little weird and disjointed. You could be in 22nd place and you'll get a mushroom or maybe 3 mushrooms, and you could be in 8th place and you'll get a bullet bill. A lot of the super good items have been nerfed a lot. The bullet bill doesn't last as long. It doesn't actually knock racers out of the way. It just sort of pushes them. It doesn't actually hurt them. The invincibility star, which is much rarer now, doesn't last nearly as long. You get other things like the mega mushroom, which makes you big and able to squash people, but it really doesn't go anywhere near as fast as you think it should. It just lets you kind of go over grass without losing speed. So you get a lot of mushrooms in this game. The item, but again, when there's so many different people and so many people are in like 8th or 8 to 24, when you have that many people in the lower ranks and people are just getting lightning bolts like crazy and they're getting bullet bills like crazy, and so the game is just almost unplayable unless you are absolutely a master of knowing the shortcuts, the correct quick hops, all the little things you need to know, to really get that, killer edge on the front of the race. Otherwise, it is just pure chaos, and you'll just be randomly, with jumping from 2nd to 18th up and down all race long. And I don't even think it's really particularly that fun. I think when you're racing with 10 people or 12 people, it's much more manageable, much more fun. Jumping into online, again, you can take 2 people on the same system online, which is a great feature to have. And again, you can race with friends or randos up to 24. The Grand Prix is, again, you pick a course, and then again, you do the 3 laps on that course, then you drive to the next course. And here's where it gets really weird. So when you're online and you're doing like a race, and you say you want to do 3 race, 4 race, 5 race, you can even do a 32 race online if you wanted. You choose the next course, you vote. Everyone votes between it, and they give you the option. Here's the 3 courses, 2 or 3 courses that are connected to the last course you just raced on. So the one you vote of those 2 or 3, you drive to and do a singular lap. You can choose to go random, and then it'll just randomly pick any course. You can also back out of do not do random, not pick one of the 3 suggested courses next to you, but you could pick your own course. If the voted game does get, say, a random, or it's a manually selected course from the whole world map, you'll actually warp to that location, do a full 3 laps at that location. But if a course that gets voted on next is, say, one of the 3 they are heavily pushing for you to go to, you race from the course you were just on to that other one, do a singular lap, call it a day, vote on the next 3 races. Pick one of the next 3 next to the race you just went to. And it's just bizarre because you can't actually just have a traditional, normal Mario Kart Grand Prix in Mario Kart World. You are sort of forced into this race to the next location, do a single lap design. So the classic Mario Kart thing is gone. Maybe that's because Mario Kart 8 Deluxe still works on the system and they feel they don't need it. But whatever the case is, you're not going to get the traditional Mario Kart Grand Prix experience online. Or if you do, it's going to be very rare. Maybe you can set up a room with friends and everyone let's never pick the suggested courses. Let's all pick a manual course so we can go warp there and do a full track race. It's very bizarre. And then the other thing is the new thing is knockout battle, where you're doing a race of about 5 or 6 courses, and the bottom 4 people from a list of 24 always get eliminated. So the last 4 places on any given race are just booted out, and the race is continuous. You just race from point to point to point to point to point. You don't stop. There's no breaking in between. It's just racing in basically not a straight line, but like a designated path of like 5 or 6 courses, and the last 4 people, I think it's 6, and the last 4 places always get eliminated until you only have one. So it's a sort of BR. Some people really love this, and I like the design of it. But the thing is that when you get knocked out of the knockout race, you basically have nothing to do. You can return to free roam and just drive around, empty, on your own, just sort of waiting for the knockout race to end. Or you can watch the first place player, but you can't actually switch the camera to anyone else. Only watch the first place person. And if someone overtakes them, then you watch the camera cuts to the next first place person. So you don't even get to really see or spectate the rest of the race or see how it's going with the other racers. No, only watch first place. And what this all boils down to in the end here is that Mario Kart World is a game that they had an idea that, hey, let's do an interconnected open world Mario Kart. And then they didn't really think about how else the rest of Mario Kart in general is going to fit into it. It's a core concept that they just sort of haphazardly smashed the old Mario Kart gameplay design philosophies onto. It feels like a very weirdly designed game. Like it was almost designed like backwards in a way, and not like, okay, well, let's take a Mario Kart game and then add an open world. It's let's make an open world and then sort of try to fit a Mario Kart game around this big map. So it feels like it was designed backwards, and a lot of that owes to like how the progression system works, how you unlock characters, how you unlock costumes, how you don't have any home base. You don't have like a garage or anything in the open world to drive to and maybe decorate or add to or anything like that. You don't have any like story mode, mission mode or anything like that. You just have these little like P-switch missions just openly in the world, and it just gives you a sticker, and that's it. And again, it's like we're talking about a game with 32 courses, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, if you had the expansion pass, was in like 94 or 96 courses at the end if you had the booster pass. And even if you didn't, it was still like 48 or something like that. And again, there is a battle mode in this game, but I don't think it's not like you're not going back to Block Fort, sadly. It's kind of like battle mode in the open world. So again, like this is a game where like you don't get, the other Nintendo, you don't get Link, you don't get Isabelle, you don't get, Squidlings, Villager, you don't get, so you don't get any of those characters. You just get Mario characters, and you don't even get all of the original Mario Kart characters. All 7 Koopa kids are gone. And then you have all these other tiny enemies replacing them. But so at the end of the day, you're getting a game with 32 courses, an open world map, and a sort of really weird structure of how the Grand Prix is built around it. Again, it feels like it was designed backwards. And crazily enough, we know from the Nintendo interviews that they did of Ask the Developers, this game started prototyping around the end of 2017. So it's been nearly 8 years in development. And we also know from the staff credits and all the other studios that helped on this, over 300 people worked on this game in the end. Like in the last 4 or 5 years, about 300 people have been working on Mario Kart World. And it's been kicked around, within Nintendo for almost 8 years. And the result is a game that just feels very odd. And again, when you judging it on the full spectrum of, okay, well, what content do you get with this? What can you do? And, how can you, what options do you have? Which is another thing where, say you're online and you're the host of a room, and you're like, hey, can I do a race without items? No, you could only do normal items or frantic items where people could just get lightning bolts in first place. So that's it, normal or frantic. You can choose to have computers or not have computers. You can't even boot people from your room. Online. You kind of are just, all right, you're just living with this. Make a new room, try make a new code. But let's say people can just join up on you if they're on your friends list. So you don't even have options in the room to purge or cull your own room to just make. Can I just make a room of 10 people? No, you have to make a full 24 room. And if 24 people want to show up in your room, 24 people are going to show up in your room. Now that is a problem that not a lot of people are going to have, I admit. But it's just, weird that you have this online functionality, but you don't have ways to kick people. You don't have you have very little to minimal control over the items that you get. You can't just do pure races if you wanted to do pure races. You don't get kart customization. You don't get a lot of characters returning. You get less overall courses in the base game than the last Mario Kart game, but you do get that overworld and a bunch of weird ways to unlock things. So yeah, at the end of the day, what do I overall think of the game? Well, I think the core aspect of Mario Kart, of driving around, boosting, hopping, rail grinding now, and wall hopping, these are all really fun things. And most of the courses are good. There's a couple duds in there, or a couple of courses I don't think transitioned well, especially with 24 racers on them. Even though the courses have been redesigned and redeveloped, like some of them just aren't ready for aren't made for 24 racers, and it just doesn't really work. That's only a couple courses though, but overall in the end though, like, you take everything together, I look at this and I'm like, this is an $80 video game, the most expensive game Nintendo's ever released. Does this live up to it? Absolutely fucking not. Let me just get that out of the way. At $80, there is no way, there is no fucking version of Earth or Hell in which this game justifies its $80 price tag. No fucking way. At $50, it's a pretty decent no, I wouldn't say bargain. It's a decent buy at $50. It's got good, the online works, the net code is good, the functionality is there. But again, it's missing an insane amount of like things you normally just assume would be in a game. Like when you're spectating, you should be able to spectate, other people, not just first place and first place only. You should be able to kick people from your room. There should be way more options in the versus style racing stuff for Mario Kart Online. But again, just boiling it all, like the core functionality of the game is solid and it is there. But at this price, with this content, with this weird design philosophy of how you unlock racers, how you unlock costumes, how you unlock carts and stuff in it, and the actual tangible reward for doing just the things in the overworld is so weird and minor and backwards. And it just kind of feels a little bit like, here's like, you could say, well, this is a very Nintendo way of doing it. And I don't even know if that's really true. Because it's just, everything just feels like it was designed backwards. We had this idea, and then we sort of tried to fit the Mario Kart mold into this new idea, and it doesn't always come off well. So in the end, judging it all for what it's worth, for what's on offer, how it plays, how it feels, all together, I think this game at $80 fucking dollars is about a 7 out of 10, and that's as generous as I'm willing to be for it. If you feel like this game is just, even if it's really, really fun, it just isn't justifiable for that cost, you're 100% right. Whatever PR bullshit line might spew out of Bowser's mouth, there is no justification for this, especially not this price. I have played games that possibly justify an $80 price tag. This is not one of those games. And considering that this will never go on sale, this will never be the most you'll get is, again, a bundle with the system, with a $500 bundle. So it's like you're paying $50 for it. That's kind of reasonable. You can maybe adjust the score in your head, if you want a little bit, and say like, oh, well, it's definitely a better value at $50, and it is. But as it is, judging it on its merits on its own, I don't even know. It's not the most fully featured Mario Kart game. It doesn't have the most courses. It is missing a ton of characters. And I feel like things could have been done better. I think the 24 racers is more of a headache than it is a bonus. And in the end, I just think this game is just costing way too much to justify its price tag. And it's a weird game. Obviously, they want to promote their game chat feature. That's like a big selling point for the system, which is a big intrinsic part of the game experience here. But not at this price. No way. This game is a 7 out of 10. It's maybe not the worst launch game Nintendo's ever had, but it's definitely on the lower half of major launch releases that they've had for their consoles. This is far beneath the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, N64, hell, Wii and Switch launches. Like, if this game is this game going to be the Breath of the Wild moment for Mario Kart? Nah, just nah. A decent game, a decent time, way too much money. Get it with if you can get it in a bundle where it's knocking $30 off the price, go for it. Otherwise, I don't think I would recommend paying for this game at full price unless you just fucking love Mario Kart and you are horny for new Mario Kart. Otherwise, if you're like a casual player, like, oh, I casually enjoy Mario Kart. Yeah, Mario Kart's kind of fun to play once in a while. At $80, ain't that fun. So let me know what you guys think. That's my official stance on Mario Kart World. 7 out of 10. And I will see you on the channel. Later, dudes.